Hey YouTube, I'm here for an update with just me. Just kidding, there's no one else here. So regarding Seth White, the misogynist who heads up is like the quote director of this tiny company called Springfield Improv. He's a sole proprietor, but that's okay. He wants to sound important. So, what has happened since last week is a bunch of people made phone calls. Thank you so much to everyone who made phone calls. Some of the people were locals who saw this thing go down on social media on Facebook, and then some people were calling from. I guess I can't prove you called from seeing this video, but I did call Seth up and chat with him. And from what I can gather, there were a lot of sources of the phone calls. And they were spread out. They weren't just all local. So that's great. And it was effective in a few ways. One of the ways in which it was effective is that they changed. So the company, Springfield Improv, changed their hours. It used to look like 4 to 5, something like that, 6 hours a day, most days of the week. I think they've always been pretty weekend heavy. Now he has whittled that down on Google. Their Google results reveal that his hours have been whittled down to he's doing like 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. 3 days a week. So what he's doing is trying to make it hard to call at a time when he'll be there, which is fine. Voicemail's fine, or leaving messages. But anyway, that made some progress. So happy joy. What else? Oh, I did speak with a few other people involved in the debacle, and it turns out that our hero, who got dogpiled and suspended from Springfield Improv, she has told Seth to kick rocks. Basically, he tried to muscle her into an apology on Facebook for saying that women should not men should not compete in women's sports. Whether those men are wearing dresses, lipstick, eyeliner, they got Botox, ass implants, doesn't really matter. They shouldn't be competing in sports against women. Women, of course, if they'd like to compete against us in gymnastics, acrobatics, ice skating, you know, I feel like I'm missing one. There are a lot of sports actually that women are better at, and they should try those. These guys in dresses, but they don't. They just want to use brute force to beat women. And so, old girl, our hero, said, "I'm not going to have it, and we need to keep women's sports just for women." It's really obvious that this needs to happen. And in fact, 3 high schoolers, I don't remember which cities or schools, I just caught some news, which I hope is real news because you never know. But, and that was not a Trumpism, Trump sucks. But hopefully this was real news that 3 high school young ladies girls are suing government entities, or I don't know if it's their schools or government entities, but they're suing over boys being let into their sports because it's chipping away at scholarships that they're competing to receive, and it chips away at special programs or special just assistance for women who are competing in sport, who want to go to school, want to use it to go to college and make a way for themselves. So those girls are going to sue, apparently, which is great. And that is not directly related, but it's secondarily related. What else has happened in the past week regarding this case? Oh, yes. So I meant to say, when Seth was telling our heroine to apologize on social media, she sent him a nice message, nicer than I would have been, and just let him know that she does not apologize for anything she said, and the only apology she can have is that he, she's only sorry that he can't let someone stand up for what they believe without coming down on them and telling them to shut up and to apologize for exercising their, what do we love in America? Free speech, right? So yeah, she's just exercising her free speech, and He didn't like that, so he tried to make her apologize. I don't know who the fuck this guy thinks he is, though. It's like, oh my god, okay, you haven't made it, dude. Because you have an improv theater, a tiny one in Springfield, does not mean you've made it. It just means you couldn't get picked up in Hollywood. I wouldn't recommend getting picked up in Hollywood as casting couches galore, but you know what I'm saying. People like this, they act this way because they're just disgruntled and they're dissatisfied with never having made it. Um, he never broke. He's not so funny that he, gets movie deals. And of course, movie deals and Hollywood deals are based on much, much more than your talent, and sometimes not even on talent. But that aside, it's just you can tell it's his worldview that somehow, if he'd been good enough, he would have made it or whatever, and he hasn't. That's what it comes across like to me. Because why else would you feel the need to muscle someone into apologizing for saying something simple, making a simple statement that is, by the way, scientifically backed online? And he really was spineless and gave in to people brigading and bullying. Probably him a little bit, but he can, be sure, everyone can be sure that the bullying he received was nothing compared to what our heroine received. So in this story, the protagonist has made the correct decision. The wannabe villain, who was completely off his rocker with an ego trip, has lost. And we're going to go ahead and forge ahead. We're not going to stop, and this isn't going to be something that makes us, it's not going to be something that makes us think, oh gosh, that was so hard. I'm so tired from it. I'm never going to stand up for myself again. That's what they like. But that's not what's going to fucking happen. In fact, all that's happening is you're galvanizing the women's liberation movement further. This is just cementing the fact that we need feminism. We need women's liberation, which, by the way, never asked for equality. Feminism isn't about equality. It's about liberation. It's in the name, women's liberation. It's about getting free of men and patriarchy and the oppression that comes with those. And if you I don't know, I won't even take time to discuss whether or not the P exists. Of course it does. And if you have an argument about that, you'll have to argue to several thousand anthropologists and sociologists about it, because I just don't have time to fuck with you on that one. Yeah, so that's what's going on. Oh, something else. I did ask a few people to help me. I asked Leah Taverly. I typically like her channel. I agree with her about 90%, 90 to 95% of the time. But when I went to ask her, hey, do you want to call? You have a YouTube presence. Can you use that for good and just give them a call? Not even necessarily make a video of it or anything like that. Of course, that would be great, whatever. But I said, hey, can you make a call? And she gave me this line about, she gave me the old TBH, I don't think it's going to do that much, or I don't know what you want, or blah, blah, blah. She's like, and I said, okay. I just kind of made an off the cuff comment back, like, okay, well, I just thought you talk about helping women a lot, and this is a great opportunity to just take 5 minutes. And she was like, oh, I just didn't, why didn't you just say something specific, like you want me to make a phone call? And I said, yo, that's exactly the phrase I used. That's exactly what I said. I said, can you please make a phone call? And she just acted like, oh, and we appreciate your comment on my channel over the years. Yeah, well, okay. My brilliant comments is the way she put it. So I don't know if that's just trying to get me off her case by giving a compliment, or if she means it. I hope she means it. I don't really care, because I didn't want that. I didn't want a compliment for my brilliant comments. Do I make brilliant comments all over the internet? Fuck yes, I do. And a lot of people hate it, and a lot of people dogpile me. Of course, that doesn't prove that I'm correct. But when it doesn't mean what I have to say is correct just because I get dogpiled. But I will tell you that when I get dogpiled, that is fucking why. Yeah, I make a lot of highly intelligent, high precision comments to tease apart what people don't understand, because their brains are just stacked with these pork barreled ideas. just these sort of party line groups of ideas that they haven't teased apart and looked at individually. So I try to make comments to do that, and that's what I've been doing on the baby. It's the oh, I'm sorry, I think I have the wrong channel when I said Leah Taverly. I have to correct this. It was the Baby Rad Fem TV channel. Anyone who's been following that channel for a while and has been following a lot of radical feminist channels will know why I confused the two, I think. But Baby Rad Fem TV. So they just played dumb, and I was really disappointed with the way they responded, and it made me think a little bit about them and the things that they don't target, or the things that well, let me just back up and be really honest here. Sometimes when people get cagey, flighty, and weird, and they say they're all about, say, helping women or fighting against the trans cult, and I say, hey, could you do this little tiny thing after I've been supporting their channel via comments, or like, upvotes, spreading the word for years, or likes, which, granted, I mean, it's not a huge thing, but commenting, it does take my time and energy and my effort, and I have supported their channel via that. And to hear them just be like, oh, to be honest, I don't know if that's going to help anything if I just, acting like, did I sound like Kristen Wiig for a second? I don't know. It's probably better than yours. I don't know. Like, I could probably do it better. But they didn't want to help me, so I was confused about that. It just seemed really, I rambled to say this. When people don't act in line with what they say they're going to do, sometimes I think, oh, they're just being lazy. But then other times, if they're really active on YouTube and put a lot of effort and energy into their channels, then I know they're not lazy, really. It's more of, in this case, it just felt like, are you an agent? Like, are you, maybe, this person doesn't literally get paid to pose as a rad femme, but they could be. I don't know. It just makes me think about that. I also the other clue toward that makes, because I know there are a ton of shills. There are a ton of trans cult shills. There are rad femme shills. There are every movement you can think of has tons of shills, and it has CIA operations looking every time. More than like 3 people get together in one place, you're going to start to see infiltrators in your group. So just knowing that alone, and then knowing that I never hear Baby Rad Femme TV touch too much. I mean, I can't say I've seen every single one of their videos, but I've seen a lot of them over the past 3 years, and they really don't delve too much into the elite, and they don't delve too much into, like, I've never heard the people that I believe are associated with this channel say anything about George Soros, for example. And he funded the LGBT rainbow dealio, which, by the way, is perfectly great to have gay rights. And I think gay rights is wonderful. I just know that it was mockingbirded. If you haven't heard of Project Mockingbird, check it out. But the gay rights movement was absolutely Project Mockingbirded by CIA assets. Abso-fucking-lutely by CIA assets. And it was redirected to incorporate this symbol. And the symbol of the rainbow is there. I mean, when I first saw it come out as meaning like that it was pro-gay rights, I thought it was funny because I was a kid and I just thought, that's funny. I just think the rainbow would make more sense as like a race relations symbol because different colors, and plus there are tons of colors in real people, as like a race relations symbol because different colors, and plus there are tons of colors in real people in the around the world. Whereas with sexual orientation, it's like your options are adult human male, adult human female, if you're an adult, or neither, or both either. So really, those are the only options. So that means that L, G, B, and A are the only acronyms that should be on there. But what is being done by the Mockingbird CIA agent people who take over rights movements and make them into campaigns for their own benefit, they are creating this thing with a spectrum of colors. So it looks like what they're trying to do is turn these colors into an acronym, of course, because they fucking love acronyms. It's alphabet soup all the way down. And they're looking at what it looks like to me is that they'd like to add a P on there for pedophiles, which is why there's and so this is why this is where a lot of contention comes up, because when you say this, people go, gay people aren't responsible for pedophilia. I didn't say that. It's not ever about that. All I'm saying is this, that the movement has been hijacked for the purpose of pedos, not just pedophilia, also necrophilia, objectophilia, which is like you feel attraction and sexual, erotic intimacy, desires for erotic intimacy with things, inanimate objects, and then zoophilia, which I was looking at bestiality first, and then I realized, oh, there's already a B for bi. And then when I was looking at bestiality, apparently the new appropriate term is zoophilia. So anyway, I think that there is some kind of, and I wondered at first if there would only be 7 letters, like the 7 colors of the rainbow, or if they would extend it further. And who knows? It's just that really the rainbow thing is a theory for me, but I do think that that's what happened there. And that is not by a long shot the first time the CIA has done that. And of course, the CIA answers to the Vatican, and they hold council. Like the CIA actually holds council with the Vatican. So people may not understand that this goes all the way to the top, and these are top-down orders. It's not just like normal gay people who want rights, and they're the ones who did all of this, like all of the add-ons that are being added on to this symbolism. And yeah, it's really unfair to those people, because they're just gay people who want rights. They want to be able to have a marriage. I mean, now obviously we do have marriage rights for gay people, gay couples, and it's only right that whoever your partner is, you should get. Technically, marriage is a business deal at its base. It's very romanticized, and what we have now is kind of a relic of what marriages used to be, but it still represents the enslavement of women, and it's absolutely taken from that, all the ritual and all of the vows and the expectations surrounding marriage for women and men, and especially for. So yes, that's an extension of what's or like that's the root of what's going on with things like Springfield Improv. This guy, misogynist guy, Seth, you see him right here. This bruv right here is like, I guess he thinks he's hot shit and can just tell people, apologize. Well, if you apologize, as people, especially when men try to treat us like we're babies and you need to apologize, I say, fuck you. Go fuck yourself. Kick rocks. Suck it. Crawl back in your mom's bed. You're a child. No one's gonna apologize. And I know that the people of Springfield that fancy themselves, showbiz, are just all in a tizzy, a happy little tizzy about their dude in drag, their drag face dude who's going to be on RuPaul's Drag Race. And I think they're trying to defend their claim to fame or something as well. And something that I've heard other women say is like, hey, whenever I see a drag queen, it like am in the same room with them or in public, the times I've been to a drag show, the dudes just look right past me. They kind of turn up their nose and just treat me like I'm disgusting automatically, like I'm just trash to them. And the reason for that is because a few reasons. They don't like the competition for male attention, because they get male attention, and that goes for men who call themselves straight, like men who claim to be straight. I think most men have quite a gay bent, because I say that because they love each other more than they love us. They love each other to the point where they'll bro down over misogyny and they bond over misogyny together. So that's something that just their hatred for women doesn't let them really love us completely. And that is its own rabbit hole. But drag queen, dudes in drag, do not want men looking at us. They want men looking at them, especially. I would say, especially if those men are straight, because that's more validation. That it means that they're legit. Like there's a little bit of a split though, because I've noticed, there are some dudes in dresses who are like having a good old time, and they're out of the closet, they admit that they're gay. And then there's like this other faction where it's like um closer to a trans ideology, where they are homosexual, but they don't want to admit it, and they don't want to come out of the closet, which is part of the reason they're transing, is to try to match their sex with their gender. It's just very conservative and regressive of them. But that's what they try to do when they see heterosexual male attention as the ultimate. Well, yeah, maybe the ultimate validation, and it's how they feel that they don't look busted, and that they're the princess by night that they want to be. And meanwhile, in the day, they go back to their big manly salaries and their big manly easy to wear clothing, nice comfy clothes. And don't cry to me about ties. Okay, there are options, but yeah, they're not going to be wearing heels to work and makeup to work, and they won't get, they won't. Like, they'll still get job offers, they'll still get promotions if they don't wear makeup to a much higher degree than women. Women are still viewed. There are still definitely workplaces that are like, oh, yeah, they don't say anything out loud, but you're not going to get that job if you're not wearing some makeup, because it doesn't look like you're trying hard enough for them. Yep. So I can't identify my way out of my oppression, but these guys, dudes in dresses, man, it's kind of like if a bunch of white people put on chains and rags, and then insisted that they now have it harder than actual plantation slaves. And I say white people, there are white people who are plantation slaves, I guess, even to this day. But I mean, I'm in the USA, so I'm just going with what is foremost in the the image that we have when we think of slavery. But like even Jamaican sugarcane plantations or whatever. So, just a bunch of whiteys and like privileged people putting on chains and rags and say, no, I identify as a plantation slave, and I actually have it harder because I'm different, because I identify as one instead of just like being assigned one at birth. You see how crazy that shit is? It's crazy, and it is a perfect analogy, so don't start with me. It is a perfect analogy. It's exactly that. Blackface is offensive. Woman face is extremely offensive. If you practice woman face, you are a bigot and you are committing psychological violence. I could go further and say you are committing literal murder for misgendering people and for everything. You're a bigot. But I don't need to go that far and be that OTT. It's just a little bit extra, not necessary. But you are a bigot if you wear a woman face. You are a bigot if you wear a woman face, whether you know it or not. I mean, so most of the things that make us bigoted are not something we're focusing directly on. It's just something that we are. We learn to be this way. You're raised to be this way. You're raised to hate women. You're raised to let men do whatever they want. And that goes for women as well. Like women raised to hate themselves and hate other women and girls, and to let men do what they want. Oh, he wants it. Oh, their egos are fragile. So really support their egos. I mean, I got that as direct advice from older women as a kid. And don't argue with him. Don't argue with, your man, your husband when you get older, because reasons I don't even know. It was silly, and now I absolutely will argue if I need to. It's like, don't start no shit, won't be no shit, bro. I'll argue if I feel like it. Um, what else since last week? Anything else about improv? Springfield Improv? I don't think so. Just dude cut his hours back so people can't call him as as easily, or know when to call him. Um, and our heroine is just moving on. She's got a sitcom she works on, so she's moving on to work on that. And oh well, I mean, Seth White, misogynist at Springfield Improv, that did all this. Just let me repeat that again. He actually also tried to sort of leverage her comedy show over her in a way because he'd been letting the crew, the team on the comedy show film there and I think rehearse there or something. And so he tried to leverage that and say, oh, well, if it's kind of if you still want to use my venue, if you still, then you have to apologize and go sit in timeout or whatever. And she's just like, so dude, guess what you can do? Set up a studio just about anywhere. It's not like you've got some kind of whatever the modern studios are, Miramax, Harvey Weinstein soundstage. It's not like you've got all that. So yeah, you don't have a lot to offer. You're just this, this is just that. Yep. So it's gone well. I mean, we've made progress. Anytime a woman can get support from her community or like her social circles, and she did, that's great. And that doesn't always happen so easily. And this time it did happen. And so there was shit coming in from both sides, but in the end, radical feminists won. We will always fucking win in the end because we're not going to put up with bullshit from men. We're not going to put up with bullshit with men who wear dresses. We're going to put up with bullshit from men who get their dicks chopped off. None of that. We've had enough. We've been in 6,000 years of patriarchy now. We're not going to tolerate any more bullshit, and there's not a goddamn thing anyone can do about it. There's literally not a thing anyone can do to shut me up. I recently, over this past week, I commented here and there on the Joe Rogan channel. Just I don't even know what videos. Just once in a while, I'll pop over there and just talk about how Joe Rogan is misogynist, and like some of the things that you'll see in the comments are really, a lot of times the kind of commenters that are drawn to a video, to a podcast, really reveals, if you don't have time to sit and watch the video, I mean, all you have to do is scroll down and see what kind of people are drawn there and what kind of ideas are nurtured there. And if you look at Joe Rogan's, videos, it's very misogynistic, a lot of disgusting talk from men and boys. A lot of them are boys. I'm sure they're 15 years old. And so they're really easy to rile up. Even if all I say is like, why does Joe think he invented DMT? Son, I was doing that shit like 15 years ago or more, just fresh out of high school. That was freebase DMT. Why is he acting like, made by one of my friends at their house? Why is he acting like DMT is like some kind of magical whatever that he just discovered? I don't know, man. It's just, he's back on the path of learning and knowing thyself. He is like, he's back there a little ways. He's struggling a little, getting over the boulders. He needs to stop and take a drink of water, and he's a little confused. And you know what I mean? He's just way back there on the path. And I do understand that. But at the same time, I'm not going to sit here and just be like, oh, okay, he'll get it when he gets it. No, I'm going to say, man, you're being unfair. You should think about changing some of the ways you think about stuff. And I mean, how would you feel if you were a woman and some guy was saying this stuff about you, about women as a monolith? And how would you, more importantly, how would you feel if you woke up female tomorrow? That's what I'd ask men. And of course they say, oh, I'd masturbate, I'd be a slut, blah, 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 blah. It's all sexual. But when you're like, okay, so but besides sexual stuff, what would it be like going to work? And they're like, fuck you. They refuse to put themselves in women's shoes, because if they have empathy for women, they'll start to feel the suffering that men have imparted on women. They'll start to feel, if they have conscience, they'll start to feel this odd new sensation that's called guilt. And it's right, it's justifiable guilt. They should feel guilty. And so they know they would if they apply their conscience to this, and they won't. So I say, so you masturbate, and then you fuck the first guy you see, and the second guy you see, and the third guy you see, and the fourth guy you see. Now that you're totally in pain and can barely walk and might have a couple STDs unless you make sure to wrap it up, and maybe you would have to be the one with the condom for that because the guys probably won't have them on them. With all that out of the way, now it's time for you to go to work. What will you wear? No, think about it. What if you woke up female tomorrow? I'd freak out because they're so funny. Okay, you'd freak out, you masturbate, you'd fuck every guy for like 4 guys until you're in complete pain, and then what are you gonna do at work? Really? What are you gonna do? How would your boss talk to you differently, regardless of whether that boss is a woman or a man? How would they talk to you differently? What would you do for fun? How would you feel about going to bars now? Any differently? Bars at night. How would you feel about walking home at night? Of course, men can't have a hard time stepping out of their macho frame of mind, and they just say that I just take a gun and I bring weapons, blah blah blah. It's like, yeah, it's not always that simple because there's a huge sociological aspect. So there are ways in which men will help each other shore up women, like drunk women, to rape. And at the point where you're incapacitated, well, don't get that drunk. Dude, everybody gets drunk sometimes. So you shouldn't have to worry about anything getting drunk except maybe you'll wake up on the sidewalk in a couple of hours. But not that someone's going to rape you. Hello. Duh. Stop blaming things on the victims and start looking at the perps. No amount of, quote, educating victims is going to change the fact that it's not the victim's fault. If it's not the victim's fault, then the onus is not on the victim to change anything. If the onus is not on the victim to change anything, why are you trying to educate the victim? How hard is that? That is 1, 2, 3 logic. That is very easy fucking logic. If you can't do that much logic, you are a dumbass. And if you won't do that much logic, you're a piece of shit. Because about half the time, it's just that they won't do the logic. Why? Because they hate us. Because they hate us with a burning, murderous passion. If there's anything that you can pull away from everything you hear from, say, a radfem in our videos and our writing, it's that men hate you. They hate the shit out of you. No, not my boyfriend, not my husband. He's got shit he harbors. He has shit he harbors. That's why he has no problem interrupting you when you won't interrupt his boyfriends. That's why he has no problem dismissing something you say or talking over you or ignoring you in ways that you'd never see him do to his guy friends. Go ahead and pay attention to that. See if he ignores his guy friends the way he does you. See if he explains things in long order to his boyfriends the way he does to you. There's no sense in saying, oh yeah, guys are like that, but my guy is different. No, he's not. Not really. We have to train them all and say, I mean, I can just feel the incels panicking at me say that, at my saying so, but it's true that men learn compassion from being around women. And that's why men come to us to get emotional help instead of to each other. So bros will bro down together and say, yo, you see that girl? She hot, she have nice ass, nice tits, sound like fucking idiots, like they don't have brains. And then they have no problem doing that. But when it comes to, they're wounded, they're hurt, their dad died, their dog died, something major, like, oh, baby, hug me. And they just come and secretly tuck themselves away with the woman to get emotional support. Well, handmaidens are still okay with that. But those of us who've moved beyond and who have grown and have learned about the reality of our situation, we are not here to simply be your emotional buoy and to we give so much emotional labor, and in return we receive you and your boys making fun of us again as soon as you feel better. So and I'm not saying that about my male individual. I'm just saying as the whole. I'm not making any personal statements, and I know people will take it as personal statements and then try to troll me, treating everything I say like it's personal statements. It's not. I'm making an overarching conclusion based on my observations, a sociological posit about society on the whole. So don't give me that not my Nigel bullshit. Not my man. Yes, hi, your man. Everyone's man. There's no man alive capable of speech, like full sentence speech, who has never said or done a misogynist thing. That's why when people say, not all men are like that. How can you say that not all men are like that? And I say, not all men are like what? Like, find me a man who's never made a misogynist comment or said or done a misogynist thing, and I will agree with you. But you won't be able to find one, because every dude has said some bullshit about, isn't she hot? And every dude, either that or he's looked up barely legal porn, in fact, to that, which could be, any number of your daughters that they're fapping to. By the way, golden rule, if you wouldn't want someone saying a thing about your daughter, don't say it about someone else's. And guess what happens when a girl grows up with a dad that thinks it's okay to bro down? She learns that that's acceptable. And these dudes, as their children, their daughters grow up, they delude themselves into thinking that he's going to protect her and he won't let anything like that happen to her, because he knows how sick dudes are. But the truth is that because of his behavior, the whole atmosphere and the ambience he provides in that family home, she will think that misogyny is normal and you will not be able to protect her. I'm so sorry. She will be raped. She will probably be, it's likely she will be sexual assaulted. She may be beaten up by a dude. And you don't even have to beat her mom for her to go then and find a dude who will do that to her necessarily. The important factor here is that she's growing up steeped in misogyny. So she'll end up gravitating toward men who are misogynists, just like her dad. And meanwhile, in his head, he's thinking, oh, my little princess, she's a sweet little virgin and I'll protect her forever. And she can't date till she's 30. Guys, oh, my daughter, can you imagine what it's going to be like when she turns 18? She's allowed to date, 30. Like a fucking bunch of hyena idiots. They're just fucking sound like Peter, like Peter, what's his fuck from Family Guy, Griffin. They sound stupid. It's not even a funny joke. It's played out. It's tired. You're not going to be able to keep your daughter from dating until she's 30, just like not even close to that. In fact, she's going to be running out with boys on the weekend out the window when she's 16, probably not even close to that. In fact, she's going to be running out with boys on the weekend out the window when she's 16, probably if she grew up with a dad like you. The irony is, the more adamant and simultaneously macho these dads are about my little girl, the more likely she's just going to get with some shitbag. But what these men really want is like for her to, they say they want to protect her, but what they really want is ultimately for her to get with a shitbag that's just like him. Because that makes him feel like, it satisfies his need for a little bit of emotional incest with his daughter. He wants to see that she's gone with a man just like him because it validates him. Yep. Huh. Couldn't connect the chat. That's okay. I haven't been paying attention to it. Anyway. Yep. If you can't justify saying something, if you can't justify another person saying a thing about your daughter, then don't say it about someone else's. And also anytime you think something about a woman, ask yourself how you would feel about another man thinking that exact same thing about your daughter. Because that's how it feels. And I know that if I just said, well, think about the way you think about women. Now, how do you think she feels that you think that way? Men don't care. That's why I have to mention the dad. And also, I don't say the boyfriend, because boyfriends will happily sell their women out long before they'll sell out their daughters. And the women in their lives, they think, it's funny if the woman in his life is sexualized because it validates him. He's got a sexy woman. But what he doesn't like is people sexualizing his daughter because probably there's a little element of he's not allowed to fuck his daughter in there. Probably a little element of that. And there's also an element of she's his sort of his DNA property in a way that the wife is not. And so she's just seen a woman who has had sex. So the man's girlfriend or wife has had sex and he knows that. So she's degraded. And so it's funny when she's degraded a little bit. It's funny when she's objectified. But his daughter, who he is either a virgin or he thinks mistakenly is a virgin because some rapist already got to her and she thinks it was normal sex. He thinks that she's different and she's somehow special, and it's based partly in the fact that she's a genetic property in his opinion, and it's partly based in the fact that she's a virgin as far as he knows, and virgins have some kind of special status as not horse. There's like virgin and then mother versus prostitute, mother slash prostituted woman. I don't even like Madonna whore. It's kind of a slurry, degrading way to describe prostituted women. I wouldn't even call them prostitutes. They're prostituted by someone. So, yep. And see, guys like, I mean, I'd be a little interested to know what the skeletons are for Seth White, because I know he's probably got some skeletons in his closet. I wouldn't be surprised if he's raped a drunk woman. A lot of, I would say, like most men have, and call that sex. So that wouldn't surprise me. You know, sue me. We'll go to Discovery and see if it's happened, but no one's gonna try and sue me because I know that's. I mean, I would, if I were a betting woman, and I'm not. That's what I'd put my money on. What else does he have in his closet? Probably some other stuff he's done that was highly questionable behavior. So I think that calling these people out, bringing things to light that they've done wrong in the present, can also strike a little fear, a little healthy fear in their hearts about, if this gets too big, people might start looking too deeply into my past, or like background checking me or something like that. Not that I think background checks are black and white problem solving magic bullets that they're treated like they are in employment and whatnot. But in the case that, we want to see what this dude has been up to as far as any kind of sex crimes, typically you can count on those being correct. And the reason is, if you look at, I say that because if you look at all the cases of sexual misconduct up through like sexual torture, whatever the categories are in the courts, those men get let off easy, and in some cases they get completely let off with no punishment. It goes nowhere. It doesn't go. Nothing goes to trial. There's no settlement, and they get. I guess it'd be like, I don't know if it's a summary judgment or what it is, but anyway, the cases get dismissed and they never go anywhere all the time regarding such stuff. So I tend to think that in most cases, when a sex crime does get through and actually does go to court and someone does actually get punished, it's typically pretty close to the truth. Now, I won't say there are never people who are framed, but guess what makes it, some men can be framed for activities they didn't do, I guess. However, even then, even when they're framed or patsied, guess who is the easiest to frame and patsy? Someone you blackmailed because they've done something fucked up. So it's much easier to patsy or frame someone who has a track record of doing this exact goddamn thing. So again, it doesn't look good when a sex crime is actually taken to trial or demands a settlement in a court system that loves sexual assault and promotes sexual assault. I mean, this is the same court system that sends people that are violent offenders with crimes that have nothing to do with alcohol. They send those violent offenders to AA on court order. And then in many cases, women are stalked by them. They are sometimes murdered by them. That's just one example of the way the court system is. Like, if they didn't want this to happen to women, they'd stop sending violent offenders to AA when their crimes had nothing to do with alcohol. It's just things like that. Just little clues here and there, and big fat fucking clues that the court system loves sexual assault. So anyway, I'm just pondering, like, I wonder what's in Seth's background. I guess we could always check it. But for now, he doesn't pose a threat, and really never did, because when you try to hold someone's own art projects over their head when they're the ones who are in your venue making you money, I mean, you're not going to get very far. And that's what Seth White tried to do. And it was a joke. A lot of people had a laugh about that. I enjoyed it. Yeah. So that's what's up with Seth. I mean, you fucking chose the wrong side, lost. Boom. Don't fuck with us. Don't fuck with us.